Okay, welcome back to the second video. So in this one, I think it's going to be the last video for this set of dynamic routing configuration. Okay, so in this video, we're going to configure the router for the dynamic configuration, and the protocol that we are going to use is the RIP. As I told you, the RIP stands for the Routing Information Protocol. If you remember that we have learned about the routing protocol, the dynamic routing protocol already. It's just in case, so I'm going to give you the brief of the dynamic routing protocol. If you not remember, please go back and have a look at what we have learned on the network layer. So I'll talk about a lot of dynamic routing. So I'm gonna go to I'm going to swap the display into my iPad so I can write something. Okay, so I'm gonna swap this one, okay, to the iPad. Okay, so let's check out if I can write something. Okay, it's good, I can write something. So if you remember, so the dynamic routing, so what kind of dynamic routing that we have learned? So we have learned two types of dynamic routing. The first one is what? The first one is the distance vector routing, right? Remember the first one, the distance vector routing. For example of distance vector routing is, yeah, of course, the RIP, or another one is the thing called the IGRP, sorry, the Interior Gateway Protocol. So what is the distance vector routing, as you remember? Yeah, I think many of you might have remembered of what I have taught already. So the distance vector routing is basically, its router will send out their own routing table, the whole routing table, okay, is router will send out their own routing table. The whole routing table to its neighbors. So they will send out the whole routing table to the neighbor. Okay. So what is it about this distance vector routing? So it exchange information, okay, and use the information of its neighbor, okay, to create a new routing table by using this kind of the technique of distance vector routing. So what is the other one? The other one that we have learned, we call what? Link state. I'm sorry. The link state. Routing. The link state routing on the different. The link state routing on the different is mean that, okay, normally the link state will do the first one, the measure the data, okay, between itself, the router, measure the data to the neighbor. And when it's measure the data from the router, so it's create that data and send out broadcastly to everywhere in the network. So this is the bit of difference. If you not remember, I would recommend you to go back, because we spent 2 class talking about how the distance vector routing working and how the link state working already. The example of the link state, for example, the OSPF, the Open Shorted Path First. Okay, so this is the example. Okay, So let me go back. It just remind you about two techniques that we have learned about the dynamic routing. So we have the link state routing and distance vector routing. So in this one here, I'm gonna cover just only one is the distance vector routing because our network is not that big. Remember the problem of the distance vector routing. If the network is quite big, we're talking about 100 or 1,000 of the routing table line, or we have 1,000 of the router in our network. So that one is not practical because the routing table that is router that it send out will be that big. Okay, but in our network we just have only like 310 is okay for the distance vector routing. So I'm gonna go back to the simulation here. Okay, and I'm gonna keep my iPad away so I can teach you how to program the router. Okay, so we come back here. So in this one here, we're gonna program the router, our router, to be able to do the link state. Okay. Oh, sorry, to be able to use the protocol of the distance vector routing. This is the one that we pick it up here is the RIP, the router information protocol. Okay. Okay. So as I told you, it's gonna be very easy. So I'm gonna go to the first router, expand the window just a bit so you can see the whole thing. First of all, I'm gonna show you this router. Okay, this router is going to be the distance vector routing. It means that it's going to send out its own routing table to a neighbor. So we have to tell the router of which network of the neighbor that it will send the data out. So it's very easy. So we go to the config mode. And after that, we config the router. Okay, if you don't know what to use, I can show you. There are 4 basic dynamic routing protocol that we can use here. The first one is BGP, the second one IRGP, OSPF, and RIP. So we're gonna use just only RIP for this class first, and I'm gonna show you how to config. This is very easy. So we use RIP. After we put the RIP already, so we have to tell the router just what network the router will send the information out. So in network, okay, the first one the router will send the data out is on this network. So it's just that one. Okay, it means that the router will forward information to learn the information from this network. And another one that the router will send the information is this one, 30.0. For this one. And that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the second one. Okay, it's the same thing that we're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna check this one out first. So we don't have the static. Okay, from the last video that we have deleted the whole thing. Okay, router, IP, and network. Okay, so what network that this one will send the information out? So it's connect to 1, 2, 3. It actually just only 2, but just whatever the interface that it have, just send it out all. So the first one, and this one here is 40.0. Okay, 40.0, the network 40, and the last one is the network 2.0. Okay, and the last one, the last louder here. Okay, so I'm gonna expand the window just a bit so I can see the whole thing. EN Conti louder IP network. Okay, so this one sitting on top to network. Okay. And last one is 3.0, and that's it. So I can show you some of the information. For example, show IP route. Okay, so this one here is gonna show the IP routing information that it have exchanged with the other, but it's gonna take time. Remember, it's gonna take time in order with the cycle of how often that the router will issue the routing table or will issue the RIP, the router information packet out to be to exchange with the other. So with this one here, okay, I'm gonna go to one of the PC here. Okay, go to the desktop and go to the command and try to ping. Okay, for example, this one 0.2, 0.100, 1. Let it exchange the information for a while. Okay, now the information has been exchanged, so I can ping this one here. So let's type ping this one. 0.1, 0.100. So now I can ping these ones as well. Okay, if we go back to some of the router here. Okay, now I'm router 0 here. Okay, check out show IP router. So you can see that one, this one here. You can see that this one here, they have created the routing table by itself. See, sorry, this one. Okay, that is exchange the information about how to route the data. If we compare to the static IP configuration, this one is much easier. We just go to its router, enable the RIP, and tell the router of what interface that the RIP message to send out. Basically, of course, this one here, yeah, but you send it out everywhere. Okay, so that's it. Is the routing information protocol or the RIP. So I can go here. Okay, try to ping here as well. See. Okay, that's it for the dynamic router configuration by using the distance vector routing, and the protocol that we pick it up here is the RIP. So if you have finished, or you can stop, pause, stop and go, or pause and go, whatever. Okay, until you can catch up for the whole thing. If you have finished this one, so go ahead and go to the Moodle. So I have downloaded this one already, so it's supposed to be somewhere here. The desktop and the Cisco. So yeah, I have the lab examination long time ago. Okay, for example, this one. If you want, you can go and download that one. Okay, and I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm gonna save it. And this one. Okay, I can open that one already. So this one here, I already put the switch and the router for many one here. So if you want, you can go and practice for your examination. Remember, this is the period, like this one is 2015 examination, but your examination going to be very similar or look like this. So the version is quite old, so the location of the icon will be a bit different, but you can move and you try to start to practice. Okay, so let's just go ahead and practice your configuration with the previous examination. Okay, that's it. See you again.